In this video, we're going to build this interactive sales dashboard on Adidas that dynamically updates based on our preferences to do with the year, the product, the region, and more. First, we'll go over the data and create pivot tables to analyze the relevant information. Then we're going to create charts and different visuals for the dashboard. Thirdly, we're going to design the actual dashboard from scratch. And lastly, we're going to link everything dynamically so we have an interactive dashboard. All right, let's get into it. So here's the dataset we'll be working with, and you can download it in the description below for free. So over here, you can see that we've got the Adidas sales database with all of the different line items that are gonna be on there, mainly financial ones. And from there, if you go to control page down, you're gonna see all the different tabs where we're going to have a lot of these visuals. And on the very first tab, we're gonna have the actual dashboard. So first things first, let's go ahead and start analyzing a bit of this data. So we're just gonna go to insert, then we're gonna go to pivot table. And from here, we're gonna wanna put it in an existing location. And for us, that's gonna be, firstly, let's go over to the sales trend tab. So we'll click over here, and let's say the location we want is right here. Hit OK there. And first thing we wanna find is the actual sales amount by period. So in specific months, how much do we sell? Now to do so, we're just gonna go ahead and select the invoice date, which is gonna give us all the dates as the row. And then towards the values here, what we're gonna wanna put is the total sales, which is the revenue for us. Now let's remove the quarters over here, which automatically fills in. So we'll remove that. And let's also open up the years. So we're just gonna press the plus sign over here and same thing down below. Let's go ahead and reformat these numbers. So we're just gonna right click here, go to number format. And from there, we're just gonna put it in accounting terms. Let's say we put it to 0 decimal places and hit OK there. Now that's a lot easier to read. Now that we have the data, let's go ahead and create a visual for it. So we're just gonna go inside the table over here, go to the pivot table analyze tab and click on pivot chart. And over here, let's go ahead and create a line chart that's gonna show us the overall trend. Hit OK there. And so there we have it. Don't worry too much about the design of it for now. We're just gonna go ahead and analyze more data first. So going back to the data tab, and over here, we now wanna see some kind of a map where we can see the different sales depending on the region within the United States. So has there been more sales in California relative to New York, for instance? Now to do this, we're just gonna create a new pivot table. So we'll go to insert, pivot table again, existing worksheet, and the location for this, for us, it's gonna be under the sales regions. And we're just gonna put it down over here, hit OK. Great, in here we're gonna put the different states. So we'll go ahead and select all of the states over here on one side. And then we're gonna put the total sales again on this other side. Now we've got these two areas. Now, in order to make a map chart, like we mentioned earlier, we can't just select this data. And instead, we're just gonna have to link it because it can't be in a pivot table. So we're just gonna link this one over here, then Control C, and we're just gonna drag that all the way down to the bottom. Let's see, that's gonna be around row 50. So it should be right over here. Control V to paste that. And then from here, we're just gonna label this. So we'll label it the state, and here we're gonna label it the revenue, or the sales actually. Let me just change the labels here a bit. So Control B, then we'll go to Alt H, and we're just gonna select, say, a dark blue color, and then Alt H F C, and this is gonna be for the background color over here. Now you can see that we've got it well labeled. So once we have this data, just go to Control A. That's gonna select everything for us. We're gonna go to the insert. We're gonna click on maps. Let's go with the field map. Click OK there. And now this map should generate for you. Press Control X, just because we're gonna move it all the way up to the top, and then Control V over here. Now, this is how the chart should be looking like for you. If it doesn't generate a specific map, for instance, go to right click, go to Format Data Series. And over here, you should be able to select the map area that you want. Maybe you only want a specific country or a region, or even the world map. In our case, we're fine with automatic, as it seems to have worked okay. Another data point that would be nice for us to find out is the sales by different retailer. So should we focus more on Foot Locker, or is Walmart actually a better seller for us? Now to find that, we'll just go Control Page Up, all the way to the data set again. Let's go all the way to the top here, and we're gonna insert a new pivot table. So we'll go Insert, pivot table again, existing worksheet, and this time around we want it to be under the retailers. So we're just gonna put it over here and hit OK. And again, we're just gonna want the retailer on one side, and we're also gonna want the sales on the other side. So now we have the sales by different retailers. And to visualize this, let's create something like a bar chart. So we're just gonna go to charts again. And this time, instead of a column or a line chart, we're gonna go into the bar and hit OK there. But you'll notice that these are in a very good order. It'd be nice to have them either going from high to low or from low to high. Now to sort this, just click inside of this area, go to right click, go to sort, and let's say we go largest to smallest. So that's what it's currently looking like. Actually, it probably makes more sense to go the other way around. So go click inside it, let's go to right click, sort, and we're gonna go smallest to largest. And let's also right click, number format. We're just gonna put this in accounting format so it's more consistent as well. 0 decimal places is fine for us, and we'll hit OK. One last thing to do with analyzing the dataset is finding out which sales method works best for us. So is it better if we sell in-store or online, for instance? Now to do so, we'll go to control page up again, and over here we're just gonna create a new pivot table. So we'll go to insert, pivot table again, existing worksheet, and this time around we want it in the sales method. So we're just gonna click over here and hit OK. Here we're gonna want to scroll to the bottom where it says sales method, so that's gonna be on the row, and then we're gonna have the total sales to be on the values just to make it consistent. Now we only have 3 values here, so it probably doesn't make that much sense to do something like a column chart or a bar chart just because there's not that much data. So instead we're gonna create a donut chart. To do so, we'll go to pivot chart, and then down towards the bottom you're gonna find the pie, and instead of a regular pie we want the donut, which looks somewhat better in my eyes at least. Hit OK there, and we're just gonna move that over here. And now that we've created the pivot tables and the respective charts, let's go ahead and work on the design of the dashboard. So we'll go to control page up all the way to the top sheet, and that's gonna be the dashboard. So this is currently what I have, and it's basically an image of a US flag over here. If you ever wanna insert an image, you just gotta go to insert, from there go to pictures and select where you want it from. Then next to that, I just made a simple line. So it's just gonna go under insert shapes. And from here, I just selected a line for us. And then lastly, over here on the side, I just did a text box, which has the relevant information for us. And if you want to learn more about financial dashboards like the one we're creating, I'd recommend checking out Financial Edge, which provides certified online finance courses and is also sponsoring this video. Their best-selling investment banker course goes over all the relevant skills you need to succeed in an analyst role. Each lesson has an in-depth video alongside a downloadable Excel file for you to follow along. Among the key exercises they offer are creating professional financial models on Excel, learning the main valuation methods, and evaluating mergers and acquisitions. And if you're interested in other areas of finance, they've also got courses on private equity, trading, portfolio management, and more. So if you're interested in checking them out, go to the link in the description below where you can get 25% off using code KENJI25. Alright, back to the dashboard. Now that we have this area filled in, let's go ahead and start working on the different shapes which are gonna hold all of our charts. So let's go to insert. Then from here, under shapes, we'll go for this rectangular, rounded rectangle. So click inside that. And first, I'm just gonna go ahead and drag that and put it more or less around here. And this one's gonna represent all of the different filters that we have. So up until around row 33 is gonna work for us. Let's close down a bit of that roundness just by clicking on that orangish area there. And let's change the colors. In this case, we want it all in white. So I'm just gonna select a white fill. And for the outline, I'm just gonna put no outline for us. Now in here, we're just gonna start writing. In this case, we're just gonna put settings. Now in case you don't see it, it's probably because it's in white right now. So just go to home and we'll change the color of that to a black. Press Ctrl B to bolden it. Then I'm just gonna go Ctrl Shift and then do the greater than sign. And that's gonna make it slightly bigger for me. Let's say around the 18 mark is good enough. Now that we have that one selected, we're gonna wanna add a bit of a shadow on the back so it stands out a bit. For this, we'll go under shape format, then under shape effects, we're just gonna go for a simple shadow like this first one over here. Now that's looking a bit more like it. Now in order to copy and paste this across all of the different shapes that we'll use, we're just gonna press the Ctrl D key. That's gonna do it for us. Firstly, up top over here, we're gonna create the trend line. So let's make sure that this area is somewhat long, more or less up till here. and we're just gonna drag that a bit lower down. Great, press Ctrl D again, and then just below that, we're gonna have 2 more visuals. So I'm gonna put one more or less over here. Let me make sure it's kind of aligned there. And this is gonna be about half the distance. Make sure it reaches more or less the same size. Ctrl D again, and we're just gonna move that one across, kind of like so. And then press Ctrl D one more time, and we're just gonna create one long one over here, which is gonna be the bar chart for us, in this case for all the different retailers. Let's say I shrink this just a bit more. Great. Now up over here in this empty area, we wanna create some kind of a note that's gonna show that, hey, this was last updated on this date, for instance. So I'm just gonna click on this one, press Ctrl D. We wanna change the shape of it as it doesn't really say the same type of information. Let's say I go for this grayish color, kind of like so. And I'm just gonna make this a lot smaller. So kind of like so there. And also close this down on this side too. So over here, that's where we would have the different nodes. So let's say I put this as a Ctrl A first, and then type note, 2 dots, and say something like last updated on say the 27/5. And this area over here, we can remove the bolden by pressing Ctrl B, and then Ctrl Shift, and then the smaller than sign just over here to the side. And then over on this side, let's put some kind of an icon that's gonna make it look a bit more fun for us. So press Ctrl D there, and then let's go ahead and shrink this more or less till it remains a perfect square. And I'm just gonna put it over here to the side. Ctrl A to select everything in there, and just press delete. Instead, what we're gonna do is insert an icon. So we'll go to the Insert tab, under Icons. I'm just gonna look for something like a clock that's gonna represent time. So I'm just gonna type clock in there. Let's say we're happy with this one over here. So I'm just gonna go to Insert. Then to make this one a bit smaller, just press the Shift and then the down arrow. That's gonna do it for you. And I'm just gonna move it over here, kind of like so. So more or less, this is looking a bit more like it. Let me just fast forward how I clean it up a bit. Awesome, now that's looking a bit more professional. To show you what I did here, I just went ahead and changed this color to a red, and also put this in a different line. And from there, I went ahead and aligned these just a bit better, where it's easier without the camera in front of me. Now that we have the initial design for the dashboard, let's go ahead and import all of the different charts and visuals that we made. So we'll go to Control Page Down. Let's go all the way to the first one, which is this one on the sales trend. Now, firstly, we need to re-edit this, so just make it look a bit better. We don't need the totals title, nor do we need the legend here, so we'll just delete that. Same thing with these gray things. We're just gonna go to Pivot Chart Analyze, click on Fields buttons, and they're gonna be removed there. Then let's stretch this out a bit more, and let's change the chart design by going to the Design tab. And from here, let's say we're happy with this fourth style, which looks a bit different. And let's click inside the line charts here. What we wanna do is change the fill color to a darker blue, like the one in the dashboard. So I'm just gonna do that. Same thing goes for the actual lines itself. So let's go ahead and click on them. And from here, under the line, we're just gonna go under the dark blue color, and that's looking more like it. Once we're happy with it, we're just gonna press Ctrl C to copy it, then go to the dashboard tab and hit Ctrl V. That's gonna be this very top part for us over here. So I'm just gonna move it across. Let me fast forward how I go about this. Alright, so a few things we need to change here is, firstly, we don't really want that border line. So in case this isn't showing for you, you gotta go to right click and format chart area. So in my case, I don't want the borders, so I'm just gonna delete that. And I don't necessarily want a fill as well, so I'm gonna delete that as well. So that's gonna look a bit more spacious for me. And let me just move that a bit. And up top here, we're just gonna put something like sales in USD for us. And that's the trend line for us done. Then let's go Control Page Down all the way to the regions in this case. So that's the map chart. Let's go ahead and edit that as well. So in this case, we don't really need the chart title either. So we'll delete that. As for this part, it's debatable whether it's necessary or not. In my case, I'm just gonna say we don't really want it. So I'm just gonna press delete. From here, let's change these colors a bit. So we'll click inside this, go to right click, sorry. From here, go Format Data Series. And series color is where we want to go for that. Inside it, the highest value we'll put as the darker blue we've been using, and the lowest value we're just gonna go with a plain white. Great. Now that we have this, Control C to copy. Let's take it all the way back up to the dashboard. We'll paste this one, say, over here to this side. Control V. Let's make it a bit smaller there. and try to auto fit it inside. And again, we're gonna wanna remove the border here. So no line and no fill either. Then for the title, let's say we go by sales by region. Great, now that's looking more like it. Then next to that, we want the donut chart. So let's go find that under the sales method. This is the one that we're looking for. And again, we're just gonna go ahead and start deleting areas. In this case, we'll go to pivot chart analyze, click on the fields button, but we don't really wanna delete these three as they're actually quite relevant for us. Instead, we're gonna click inside the donut chart, right click, and from here, format data series. And what we wanna do is make the donut whole size a bit smaller so the columns actually look thicker for us, which I think is a bit of a better look. Also, let's change the colorings. So first we'll select this blue one. From here, just go to home, and under here, you can select the dark blue in my case. Then next to that one, let's say I go for a red color. And then for this very last one, let's say I go for something like a blue color like so. Then we can copy this, so Control C, take it up to the dashboard, and I'm gonna paste it over here to this side. So Control V, let me reformat that. Great, now for the title, we can change this to something like sales method. And then now we're missing this very last bar chart, which is the one that we made towards the very beginning. So we're just gonna go under retailers, and it's gonna be this one over here. Let's delete the title there. Let's also delete the legend. And we don't really want these either. So pivot chart analyze again, fields button. Now that's looking slightly more like it. Let's go ahead and click on the different bars here. And for the fill color, we're gonna change it to the dark blue like the dashboard. And then we can just remove these grid lines as well, which we don't really need. And then once we have all of that, Control C to copy. We're gonna take it over to the dashboard, Control V. We're gonna have to resize this one as well so it fits well. And for the title here, let's change it to something like sales by retailer. Great, now let's take a closer look at how everything's looking, and it's starting to look more and more like it. The one thing that's currently missing with the dashboard is that it's not dynamic, so we can't go ahead and only see data for 2020, just like we can't go ahead and only see data for the West Coast, but we can go ahead and change that. So firstly, let's go to the sales in USD, this chart over here. Just make sure you click inside it. Let me close that. Here, we're gonna go to pivot chart analyze, go to insert slicer, and here we're gonna select all of the different slicers, and this is gonna be the settings that we can change. It's some kind of a filter basically. So in our case, we said we wanted one, let's say we want one for the years. We also want one for the products. So how does selling a shoe versus selling a shirt change for us? And then lastly, let's also put one for regions. So the West Coast, the East, etc. Hit OK there. That's gonna give you 3 different ones. Let's go ahead and move these. These are basically gonna be over here to the side. Now you'll notice that they're actually quite long. So instead, we're gonna collapse them into 2 different columns. To do so, just go ahead and select one. And under buttons here, we're just gonna put 2 columns. So that's gonna look a lot cleaner for us. Now for the design of these, we also wanna make it a bit more different. So let's select all 3 of them. And here under slicer, you're gonna find there's different slicer styles. So you can select like an orange one, etc, etc. In my case, I already made one. So it's gonna be this one over here. Now go to the drop down and you can create a new slicer style that maybe matches your organization. To do so, you can have all of the different things that you can change down over here. Hit OK there for now because we're happy with this one. Let's start moving the years and all of the other stuff as well. You'll notice for the years here, I have these 3 strange ones towards the bottom, which don't really make much sense. Now in order to remove them, I could just go to slicer settings. And from here, we're gonna hide the items with no data. Hit OK, and now it's looking more like it. Let me fast forward how I move this across. Nice, so now I've got all of the different slicer settings here on the side. Hopefully you're able to follow along. So for the year, suppose I change this to 2021, you'll notice that this whole trend line changes. Same thing if I go for different regions, that's gonna change as well. That being said, you might have also noticed that nothing else is actually changing. It's only this top part. That's because all of these parts aren't exactly linked as of now because we only took the slicer from here. So let's go ahead and link them. We'll first select this slicer, go to slicer, and we're gonna go to report connections. That's gonna allow us to link everything. So firstly, we're gonna just select on all of them. hit OK there, and same thing goes for these other ones. We're gonna select all of them under report connections, click inside that, select everything, hit OK. Same thing goes for the product, report connections, and select all of them. Hit OK there, and now if we remove all of these filters, everything should be changing with it as well, as you can see over here. And just like that, we've built ourselves an interactive Excel dashboard where you can select different regions and see all of the sales data for that area. Same thing goes with the products and the years. For more on Excel, check out this video over here to learn about advanced pivot table features. Hit that like and that subscribe button if you liked it. I'll catch you in the next one.